All right, we are live here, back at my amazing dorm room with my friend Ruben,
Yes.
and today with that America's future, and we're going to talk about Hurricane Helene. And Ruben, I just want to hear what you think about it so far, and then you can ask me a few questions if you feel so free to do so.
Yeah, sure. It's really been a tragedy in in our country to hear about this situation, how it's impacted the lives of so many people living in the southeast. I mean, I was pretty late to the game, admittedly, and it turns out that this has been something that I think our country has known about, right? People in power have been in the know about the situation, but it kind of snuck up on us, the American people, and living in this part of the world and in Texas. We're not directly it, but we're hearing all about it in the news. And it turns out that this is a little bit crafty on the part of the government, covering up certain details and making life very difficult for key people in this upcoming election. So actually, I'm going to turn it over your way, Timothy, and maybe ask you some questions about what exactly is going on, because this is the America First podcast, and the American people deserve to know what on God's green earth is happening, with this natural disaster, which some might think is, all part of the plan in the hands of the man, and it's out of our control. But really, it's it's coming out that certain details are important for context in this situation with Helene. So please, Timothy, if you could inform our audience what the heck is going on, because I'm still learning details. These things are surfacing, and the popular media has decided that it's not interested in educating the American people on what is really happening. Instead, it's interested in really keeping certain details hush hush and uh, hiding the truth. So please, if you would be so kind as to inform the American people.
So what? So it's very interesting, and I put the details of about this hurricane in the description box below the video, and so if you look at one of the very, I think it was the first video I put in the description box, I put in there. There's a video of the hurricane formation. And if you look, there's like a swirl that occurs. In the swirl, basically, it's like the government was it's like they are manipulating the hurricane in order to make it like they made it a stronger hurricane. And then there was someone that was talking. I put in there another video of a man who was talking about how the hurricane was supposed to hit Florida, and it did hit Florida, but it also changed directions and went for North Carolina. And there's something significant about North Carolina. So the government has been wanting um, to start a lithium mine in North Carolina. And that is significant because the location where they wanted to start this lithium mine there's a dam that was built right in the area that they wanted to start this lithium mine.
Mm.
And this dam, I want to, as from what I know, from what I understand, it did actually break. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And I remember after the hurricane started to subside, there were lots of people saying like the destruction, like the breaking of this dam is imminent. If you are like in anywhere close to this, the down where the water will be coming from,
Mm.
you need to like evacuate now. And the scary thing about that is that dam was right where they wanted to build the lithium mine. And why would they be pushing for this lithium mine? And why are they doing this? Because they're all about this green energy, and all we use, like all of our lithium and all of the products that we use, come straight from China. And so that's and so they want to start more lithium production here in the United States so that we don't have to rely more on China. And they will do anything to carry out what they want to do. And they don't care about the American people. Because going off of that, here's something else that is happening that is very fishy, that shows that the government does not actually hates us. Because if you look at what FEMA has done, so first of all, FEMA took the money that was allocated to it and spent it almost all of it on illegal immigrants that were coming across the border.
Almost $1 trillion. Almost
Yeah,
$1 trillion.
exactly. And well, was it $1 trillion or was it $1 billion or just several billion?
Or excuse me, it was several million, approaching $1 trillion.
Well, that would be billion.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, billion. Yeah, it's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah, we'll say a lot of money, like in the billions. And so, but they used all of that money on illegal immigrants. And now, what, like, the government is housing, like they're paying for housing for illegal immigrants, and then they're going even further and they're giving these illegal immigrants money to spend on food, and like each month it's happening each month that these illegals are getting money to pay to buy food and everything. And then furthermore, after, like at the same time that this hurricane was happening, the Congress they also sent more money over to Ukraine. But yet, whenever whenever this hurricane hit, they were like, "Well, we don't have enough money to help the people that were hit by this hurricane," and that is definitely a problem. And so, yeah, it's not good. And then furthermore, so FEMA is blocking people from sending food and supplies to the people that were hit in North Carolina. And so why would they be doing that? So that way, and not only that, but if anyone has a helicopter or an air a vehicle that can fly, what's happening is they're saying that if you fly your helicopter or whatever into North Carolina, into Asheville, which is where a lot of this is happening, we will arrest you. Why in the world would you arrest anyone who is going to help people who have been hit by a hurricane? It seems pretty fishy to me. And here's another detail that just is more evidence that shows that the government is behind all of this, is that the hurricane hit hit places that were not only in like they over mainly conservative areas, and so they were rural areas. They went and they were rural areas, which means that they vote conservative. They vote for Republicans mainly, and all of a lot of the places that were in those states that were hit, that didn't see such devastation, were all urban areas. And there's another video I put in the description box below that was on a mainstream media site news source that in the past where they were talking about how the government can manipulate weather and can change directions and all of that. So, and the two programs that built the technology to do this was Cirrus and Storm Theory. Those were the two programs. So, and I want to see if Ruben has any other questions or anything else he wants to add.
Yeah, definitely, Timothy. I mean, you were the person that I spoke to initially when a lot of this information started to surface. And it, of course, made me raise an eyebrow. And you said that the government has the ability to manipulate weather. Look, to the average American, that sounds automatically like a conspiracy theory. Now, we should consider the fact that there were events that took place over the course of the past 2-3 weeks that don't make sense, right? And a lot of the time when we're talking about issues pertinent to our country, we're talking about things that don't seem to make a whole lot of sense, right? Why the government would want people's lives to be at risk, right? Like folks living near the dam, folks that are trying to provide relief to families that were struck by the hurricane. Why would we go out of our way to impact the lives of those people in a negative way? Shouldn't the government protect the interest of the American people and seek positive solutions? These are questions that most Americans have, right? If we are to trust our government, we are to place groups like FEMA in the hands of our families. We would expect them to be helpful. So when you first brought up that there was a weather pattern that didn't exactly make sense, and that the hurricane had impacted a certain region, right, that maybe it wasn't expecting. Because look, when I first heard about this hurricane, I heard it was going to hit Florida and it was going to be ugly, and that was it. It was going to hit the panhandle of Florida, and and then I like most hurricanes, it would come over other parts of the United States, but it wouldn't really have a major impact on, say, communities hundreds of miles up north. But of course, you shared some interesting information with me, and the skeptic that I am, I saw it and I thought to myself, well, is it possible that the government would have its hand in this natural disaster? And the more I think about it, I think it's very possible and highly likely. I think at this point, I'm convinced that this has a lot more to do with weaponization of weather patterns than it does with a natural disaster taking its course. Like you said, it's too fishy. It's too fishy that they would go out of their way to keep people from engaging in the disaster relief process. I mean, there's something deeply concerning about this messaging, and it seems fishy that there would be a change like you described. I mean, it's visible. These are weather patterns that are visible, and you can take a look at the events for yourself at the event timeline and notice that there are details that just don't add up. So I guess my thoughts in summary are that this isn't an issue that ends at weather taking its course. This is highly suspicious behavior, right? Messaging from FEMA. And it's interesting to me that Alejandro Mayorkas would say something like, we're very prepared for this hurricane season. In fact, I think he said that he, representing the DHS, he said that they were extremely prepared for the hurricane season. Well, it wouldn't seem that that's the case anymore. And folks are out of money. So my eyebrows are raised. And I think the American people should be upset by the fact that there are not clear answers as to what has happened. And people should be concerned about the lack of transparency, from our government. This is an issue that does not end with even disaster relief. Like, there are people that are not going to receive help in the future because of the amount of spending that is going into the migrant crisis, which connects to so many other problems that we're facing in our country. So my hope is that families are taken care of by decent people that are ready to help, and that in this country we continue to rely on charitable communities that are disassociated from the government for help, because we can't trust the government. Timothy Finley famously said, "The government hates us," and I think it's reasonable to assume that he's right.
Yeah, and something else I want to touch on. If I can figure out how to, I'll add this to the description afterwards. But something that that some people may know is Jamie. So there was a video of Jamie Raskin. He's a Democrat in the House of Representatives, and he was talking about how there's going to be civil war like conditions after if Donald Trump wins this election, there's going to be civil war like conditions, and Congress is going to beef up its security and all that. And not only that, there was someone who was testifying before Congress, and this individual was talking about how people need to start becoming prepared for a time when they will not be able to purchase food. They need to pray. They need to pray for themselves, pray for our country, and they need to make a plan for what they will do, where they will meet if say they are split up and there starts to be blackouts or whatever, because there's people who are saying that there will be blackouts and all of that. Okay. And this individual, this whistleblower from probably from the CIA or FBI, one of those intelligence agencies, and he was saying how, look, there will be a time with several months after the election day when this is going to happen. There will be internet will go down, and you need to start storing food for when you can't go to the store and get food. You need to have a plan for what you're going to do afterward, like when that happens, and know where you're going to meet if you need to meet. And he was talking about in your neighborhood, you need to make a plan. You need to get with people in your neighborhood and have their back. Okay, if this happens, I will have your back, and we will work together. We will get through this. Because he said, you will need people. You will need to help each other. And so I'm just saying this just because, and it sounds like I'm fear mongering, but I don't know if things are pretty bad right now, and if the government is willing to start weaponizing weather systems against the American people, then there's a political scientist who said that government makes its legitimacy. Government is one of the things that government uses is a monopoly on violence. And so I forgot who that is. I learned that back a semester or two ago in comparative politics, but we talked. That was one of the things, and so they can weaponize violence, as we saw in the Summer of Love with Antifa and BLM, and they will make civil war like conditions. And so I recommend you pray, make yourself right with God, offer up sufferings, like I said last time, and because things are going to get very tough here soon, and so all we can do is prepare. We can build relationships with people and help and meet and know where we will meet when this happens. But and then there's a few things happening overseas. We have Israel. Oh, this is something maybe you want to put your say have things to say if you'd like.
Sure.
But Israel is considering attacking Iran because they launched missiles into Israel after Israel decided they were going to have a ground invasion um, of Lebanon, because that's where Hezbollah is, and Hezbollah, because Hezbollah, they like Israel has been going after Hezbollah after they did their pager bombs that went off on Hezbollah members. And then we have Ukraine, and how the United States greenlighted Ukraine to use NATO missiles or American missiles to launch into the heart of Russia. And so I'm going to let Ruben speak on that if he has anything to say, and then we might in the podcast here pretty soon. So I'll see what Ruben has to say about all that.
Well, Timothy, I think I'd like to go back on something you said. Folks need to pray. We are living in very challenging times. Everything is accessible to us in the media, and it's easy to get carried away by the news that continues to follow the latest on issues in the Middle East, issues in Ukraine, and I think I have arrived at a point where I'm trying to build those relationships more than I am trying to follow the media. I have a dear friend, Timothy, here who keeps me informed, and I certainly will take a look at the news on my phone just to make sure that I'm updated on anything that's breaking, any breaking news. And that's all fine and well, but ultimately, get right with God, pray, and build connections with people around you in your community. I think that's what I'd like to do moving forward. Be grateful for every day that I have as an American to live this blessed life that I do, and offer up suffering and pray intentionally for the people that are greatly affected by these conflicts, because I only have a certain idea of what it really looks like, but people are really suffering in these different parts of the world, and now in the United States, in the Southeast. And we have to ask ourselves what we can do in our daily lives to improve our situation, right? Keep our family and our community in our care. And in terms of the two conflicts that you point to abroad, I think we should go with a different approach. I don't think we should be greenlighting anything that directly signals aggression toward Russia. And the way that we have handled many of the decisions from from the Ukraine-Russia conflict, I think have been, I mean, we've just totally messed up getting involved the way that we have been. And I think America first is the way to go, and involving ourselves in those conflicts is a mistake. And then in terms of the the fight against Israel on the part of these terrorist groups, I think Israel responds by uh, being aggressive and not going soft. I mean, I think former President Trump is correct in saying that the next step moving forward is taking out those nuclear weapons in Iran, and just moving forward in a way that doesn't signal weakness, because this is an all-out war. And if we fiddle fart around the idea of just continuing it and taking baby steps, it's never going to end. So prayers for the people of Israel, for the people of Ukraine, Russia, all the different parts of the world that are being affected by these conflicts. And to the American people, definitely build relationships that are going to continue regardless of the times. We need to stay connected, and we need to do our part to stay informed, but also to be sane. Maintain our communities intact, so that way, should anything happen, right, the government that hates us, should it weaponize fear, should it use fear tactics, and I mean, I guess it already has done that, right? But should it continue to endanger our lives by pulling the internet, shutting down the power, should it take these extreme courses of action, we should be prepared enough ourselves to handle these things, because we know how to navigate our lives without the internet, because we know how to navigate our lives without power. Like, I think just being prepared, storing food, doing all the things that people used to do are going to benefit us as we continue to move into these darker times. But there is hope. And we, as the American people, have the ability to engage in the democratic process this next election cycle. And should we come to a decision, an America First decision, I think we can expect some pushback, but we can also expect some relations to repair overseas, and that would be very good. And I think as certain situations escalate, we can handle them with much greater care under a new administration.
Yes, I agree with that, Ruben. And one last thing I'd like to touch on before we end is thanks to Kamala's great leadership, we have let in over 400,000 convicted felons into the United States. And what is so appalling is that we have she has taken, so these people were arrested, they were arrested, and then they were convicted, some 13,000 or however many thousand of murder, and then some of sexual assault, and then they were just released into the country. Oh, whatever, nothing happened here, nothing to see here. And so it's like, how if this was any regular normal election cycle and the media did their job and we had a competent leader, none of this would even be happening. And what I think is so crazy is there's so many things that are happening. It's just polls, polls that are skewed, it shows it as a tie, the election is so close. Oh my goodness. Will Trump or Kamala win? Dude, okay, what drives me crazy is if you like the same people are exact same people are being paid to go to each Kamala Harris rally. And and they're all the same people. If you look at like the data, the phone tracking data, the location tracking data, they're all the same people that show up to your rallies because they're all being paid. And so there is no way this is close race. And then the other thing is just the media covering things up, it's crazy. But I want to thank Ruben for coming onto the podcast again, and hopefully we can do this again next weekend.
Hey, Timothy,
Yes.
One last thing. This is just for our America First audience listening. If you have not watched the Emoji Movie, that's okay. Go on YouTube and search a clip of one of the characters. I just heard about this recently, that there is a character from the Emoji Movie that is super annoying and sounds exactly like Kamala Harris. So if you get a chance, check that out and laugh a little, because it's hilarious just how ridiculous that character is in the film, and how many parallels there are to the real life worst candidate that this country has ever seen. So thank y'all again for your participation in this country's politics. Thank you for listening to Timothy and myself. We're blessed to be here, and God's
If you don't mind uh, uh, sharing this video with with friends and family, and subscribing. And I know you hear this from subscribing, sharing the video, because it really helps. Thank you.